Well, if you enjoy tea, there's your cup of tea. And it's chamomile rose today, and there's your chair and a safety vest if you feel like you need that. And you can just scoot that on up over here and for the walkthrough, if you don't mind. And of course, this is for you, so if anytime you need to come or go, awesome, do what you gotta do. And if you change your mind, you go, you want to come back, that's awesome. Or not, it's awesome, right? So this is here for you. And before we jump in, I'm talking sort of soft because the walls have ears. And this walkthrough, it's like a sexless six-way. So thanks for walking with us a spell and not tripping when we fall. It's an artist walkthrough, a back to school night, a first date, an open house, a safety meeting, a tour of duty. Ish. Like. It's like those things. But before we go any further, do you love me? Shall we sing? I love you all so much, and thank you for joining us. And some disclaimers just to keep you safe and sound and let you know if this is the channel for you. I am not a doctor, lawyer, therapist. I'm a fortune teller. So what I offer is no substitute for their services. Furthermore, what I share does not determine your future. Only your intentions and actions do. So please use your gifts of discernment before deciding what to gather and take away. And of course, take only what resonates and blow like a kiss the rest back to the universe for cosmic composting into beauty. Yes, if you feel like you want to put your hands on the wood, you may as well, to help buoy yourself and ground yourself all at once. And this reading, did I mention, is for fun and games, for shits and giggles, for entertainment, for flexing our heart, mind, body, soul, spirit, emotions, and intuition. And at the least, I hope to cause harm to none. And at the most, I hope to assist you on your healing path. I hope I may assist you on your healing path. At least one little tidbit, one card for you to take away and add to your Stacked for Life Worth Living deck of cards. Let's see, what other disclaimers might you want to know before you step in any further? Or if you continue to come back to this channel in any sort of fashion, whether it's randomly to check out here and there as you're guided, or on some sort of regular basis with the Tuesday night circle perhaps that we have to help you play your cards that you're already playing, or the Friday night telling. And there are playlists that you can check in there. What else do I want to tell you? Disclaimers. If you need to tap your fingers, get up and dance, walk around, get some water, take a bio break, make sure, take sweet care of yourself, please. And of course, don't let me tell you what to do, right? That would be tyranny. We are all different psychosocial science experiments, and what works for one person may not work for another. So I always enjoy inviting you to explore anything that you hear or see or feel or know as we are gathered together in this circle, and to use your gifts of discernment, right? To see what works for your psychosocial science experiment, the psychosocial science experiment that you are. It may be different than the psychosociology experiment that I am. And maybe some of our cards that we play overlap, and maybe some of them are totally different. So just hopefully we're creating a space for you to be able to keep tuning into that. And as there is much going on in the world and inside of us, before we go further than that, may we together hold that unconditional love in our heart. Maybe you see it as a bright white light or different colors, or you just know the feeling or the sense, or however, hold that unconditional love in your heart for yourself, that white light that is in every cell of your body and that you see out in the universe and all around you in different ways. You can just feel that, hold that, visualize that, and we can say a prayer for ourselves and the world, for everything going on, just to honor that before we continue with our walkthrough tonight, whenever you are picking this up, this session. And it may be relatively timeless, and perhaps you may hear me repeat myself, as part of my duty is to repeat myself like a happy broken record. Now, where was I before I was? Oh, prayer. Ringing a bell first to do a Thich Nhat Hanh bell mantra. You may refer to Thich Nhat Hanh on your own. I think Plum Village is where you may find his legacy living on. And if you are a practicing psychic medium, practicing for life worth living here, there, and beyond, you may be tapping into Thich Nhat Hanh in other ways. They're beautiful, spirited ways. So that bell mantra, and then a prayer. So the bell mantra goes something like this. Mind, body, speech in perfect oneness. I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow. Om. Peace. Shanti. Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Your brilliant creative energy. Thank you so much for participating in that. And thank you, Source. Thank you, your Source, your spirit team, angels, ancestors, galaxy guides, saints and sages, gods and goddesses, universes here for the highest love and light, as well as mine. And we thank your Source and my Source for immediately shifting the situation into what it needs to be, offering necessary insights, healings, acts of grace, protection. Heartily, we are grateful. And so it was, 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 and so it is, and so it is. Glory be, hallelujah. Thank you so much for participating with us. We are so happy that you stopped in for a spell, as we may have mentioned. And thank you for appreciating the fact that we may repeat ourselves here and there, that is part of our duty. And let's see where I want to go. So this channel, a big part of what we have seen ourselves personally, professionally, in our adoption circuits, and as all sorts of different occupations, from lifeguard to teacher, and so many in between. I mean, over 22 different, I mean, it's probably closer to 30 now. And wow, something just fell in the other room. That'll be interesting to find out what that was. And not to brag or inflate myself or seem high and mighty, but just to say that if you're here, you might feel this too, that in your experience, personally, professionally, that you might see too, that loss is what blocks leading, learning, loving, and living the most. Not evil. We, in our experience, see that evil's just scapegoated loss. And perhaps if you found yourself here, you've also come to the place where you want to play all day and night instead of fight any good fight, because for you, you just feel that ain't right. And you perhaps are dancing out of the fog of quote unquote evil, as we mentioned, of adoption fairy tales, of gypsy myths, of parenthood, of the amygdala, grief struck by loss, possessed by grief, cycling, fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn, emergency states as for the best. Correct. Just the way we do it around here. Can't you see? We're fighting the enemy. And so you may have found yourself in this neck of the woods because you are dancing away from that, immersing into adoption spirit magic, however you translate that to be. There is a short on the intro page of this YouTube channel about adoption spirit magic, but we can share again that you, in order to understand what adoption spirit magic is, instead of fighting this fighting the good fight and this fighting spirit, well, what are we doing now? We're doing adoption spirit. What is adoption spirit magic? I'm sorry, I'm rambling around a little bit. So how might you consider in your culture this notion that I'm about to express? We have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear. We have received the spirit of bondage again. Oh my God. We have we have received the spirit of adoption. Thank you. God bless it. We have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear. We have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, thanks God for helping us all. How might you express that notion, which by the way is Romans 8:15 from the King James Version? How might you express that in your culture? And perhaps it's musically, or with oil paints, or your mother's tongue and your father's tongue and the tongues you've learned along the way. So those are some different reasons why you may find yourself at the station. And if that's not resonating, you're free to leave. And if you change your mind, like it is resonating, now it's not, it is, it's not, that's awesome too, just to be able to keep tuning into yourself, especially as this channel is also for the literal and figurative orphan, adoptee, gypsy, Romany, all the different ways that plays out, and how often, as we're seeing across the world and within our own spectrum, these power dynamics playing out, and how to be able to express your truths and not be discarded because, you know, it's you and the other people in the room's cards hold more value for some reason. However that plays out, there's so many different ways that plays out, as we are seeing, right? Especially since 2020, and then we've seen things amping up to a sense to let us see, is this is what we've been doing ourselves, perhaps. here's the mirror. How much of this have we been doing too? Oh, wow, maybe we don't want to do that anymore. Maybe we want to do this instead. All the different ways that plays out, right? From right, we're all psychosociology experiments. So within yourself, within the people around you, within you and the universes, your source, however you call that. And thank you. Just taking a moment to ground in again, because it's big, right? What's happening around the world and what's happening within us, and the shift that we're feeling, and how to honor that. And so hopefully some of the offerings that we are sharing are helping you play through those times of when we are so grief struck by loss. We become possessed by grief and we want to kill ourselves and others. And we've gotten to the point in our life where we've decided we don't really want to do that. and if that's not you, that's got to be understood for you, right? You got to know if this channel is for you, or if it's not. I mean, you don't got to know. How am I trying to say it? If you're like, well, that's not me, what I mean to say is that's, honor your truth. And if that's not you, you are more than welcome to change the channel or choose a different channel. And then if you change your mind, you are more than welcome to come back. So let's see, what else might you want to know about if this is a place that you want to hang out for spells to help you play through the loss that is so devastating that it makes us want to hurt ourselves or others, but not really. You want to keep playing your cards, the cards that you were playing before you came to Mother Earth, the cards that you'll be playing after you leave. You want to play through the loss. You want to play your cards. And so, God willing, we may help you with that. And from the crisis to the diaspora, to the surviving, to the thriving, to the blessed dreams coming true beyond belief, pilgrimage, thriving, and, as needed, because life happens, right? As we've seen, and how much life has shifted since 2020, and how our own, maybe it even feels like our own essence and energy shifted. Our needs and wants, our desires have shifted. Our standards have shifted. And perhaps we're not content with going back to normal. We don't want to go back to normal. Maybe we want a totally different way. And so perhaps that's another reason you have found your way here. And so I mentioned the sexless six-way, the artist walk through, the back to school night, the first date, the open house, the safety meeting, and the tour of duty heads up. And immersing in, so we're going to kind of tap into safety meeting and the tour of duty now that we're not doing the forced march. We're not forced marching angrily. We're not forced marching sad gone mad, our authoritative amygdala. Now that we've chosen, we've decided, we've seen, we've gone through enough life experiences and of our free will, we're saying, all right, that resonated with us at one point, but now it doesn't. And so a little safety meeting and tour of duty now that we're immersing into adoption spirit magic instead of the fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn, the adopt, war, and rape. And especially at this time with what's in the stars, from Scorpio to Sagittarius to Mars. You can check in with your own astrologers and find out more about that. But to really, especially literal and figurative orphans and adoptees that are out of the fog, coming out of the fog, thinking about coming out of the fog, in and out of the fog, to really trust your instincts, to steer clear of danger, of those spaces where you might trip and fall because you're tripping into the fog of the, pardon me, I don't want to cast blame, because it's like we're all just, we're all in this really rough water, and we are learning more how to tread water, swim, backstroke, float, get to shore, as each sees fit. And so trust your instincts to steer clear of certain areas where you have seen that your truths are shut down. Perhaps it's those spaces where the evil, quote unquote evil, the fog of evil is and people are gathered around at the breaking news of whatever evil is of the state, that quote unquote evil, and jeering at the evil and the bad seed and the illegal alien, or whether it's the fog of the adoption fairy tales, and you've reached a certain point in your life, you're no longer a baby, a toddler, you've passed your play years, you've passed your school years, you've passed your adolescence, you've passed your young adulthood, perhaps you're in your middle adulthood or late adulthood, and you've accumulated enough life experiences personally and professionally to know that there's certain ways that people respond to you as an adoptee, and the adoption fairy tale comes out, and so you share with the parent or the teacher or the professional or the pundit or the politician or the you fill in the blank, and you're trying to share your authentic voice, and wow, this doesn't, I mean, I'm really appreciative, but wow, do we really have to send us to war at 18 or 19? I mean, what seems sort of, and to honor that, those times when we've accumulated enough experiences and we've seen the responses of people like, oh, you just don't understand. Look at all the orphans out there. It's a necessary evil, and so is war. We need to adopt those orphans, and we need to go to war. These are necessary evil. Those kind of places that you've accumulated enough experience and you've felt like, wow, you might hurt yourself or someone else if you expose yourself to that one more time, or you've seen it play out. It already has played out because you're trying to express yourself, and it's just not heard. It's not being heard. It's like why people take down twin towers, why people dismantle towers, why people kill themselves and others, because that scapegoating, that whipping the post, that kicking the dog, all the subtle ways that it happens, and one of them was just the ways I explained that way. Oh, you just don't understand that, we have to adopt all these poor children, and the perhaps you find yourself, you're in and out of the fog, of these different fogs. Gypsy myths is another one. You can't immerse yourself and hang out in Veterans Day parades with people who are caste typing gypsies. I don't know where the Veterans Day parade came in. I think probably because the ancestors are here and there's military in the room. Thank you. Let me take a minute. Thank you so much for being so strong and for joining us. And so to give yourself extra space, steering clear of these places where you've had enough experience, where you're trying to express yourself, people aren't taking it, all the ways that plays out, whether you're trying to express your adoption truths or your gypsy Romany truths, right? Or your God bless it. God bless it. Your parenthood truths and your grief struck by loss, possessed by grief truths. Those places where people aren't accepting your truths, they're shutting it down, all the different ways that plays out. Can't you see I'm busy? I ain't got time for that. Get a therapist, all the different ways it plays out. Give yourself extra space to decide how to navigate that now with everything you've learned. Perhaps I'm just offering to help keep you safe and everyone else. And perhaps it looks like sitting out events like Thanksgiving or Veterans Day parades or Thanksgiving Day parades and family reunions or Memorial Day or Mother's Day or Father's Day, or you fill in the blank. All these different expectations to show up, and perhaps you even give yourself permission to excuse yourself without even an explanation if you're not able to verbalize it yet. Because wow, how do you say things in a kind way when you've been shut down, right? That takes learning. Often it comes out very aggressively and violently, and there's a learning curve, and I speak from experience in all the different ways that I myself have reacted violently with my words and my body, just trying to express myself and learning how to do that. And so to allow yourself that time and space to do that as well. And so if you just need to sit out and maybe you just say, no, I got to sit it out. I can't explain it right now, but I'll get back to you, or you'll get back to me, and I'll be able to tell you by then, whichever happens first, and love you so much, however it comes out, all the different ways, what you may say to your beloved mother, father, birth parents, adoptive parents, fosters, mentors, coaches, whoever is insisting that you come here or there to partake of Independence Day, or fighting the good fight, jeering the enemy, whichever ones you're feeling like, wow, I've gathered enough experience, and I understand that while belonging and fitting in, while success hinges on it, I want to do it a different way where I don't hurt myself or anybody else. And I've seen that doing it that way, I've tried, and I keep hurting myself and others, and I don't want to do that anymore. And now I'm going this way. So that may be a little extra heads up for you to give yourself some extra space, especially, like I said, with everything happening out in the stars, in the world, and just perhaps, happily allow that extra time and space to just sink into your healing treatments, playing your healing cards, and checking in. Do you really want to do that anymore? Instead of racing around the world, saving the orphans, adopting the orphans, raping the women, the orphans, it's all the same. Adopt, rape, war. And the reason why I put rape in there is part of the Romany perspective of what happened during the Holocaust, what most others call the Holocaust in World War II. But you may just appreciate, I can come back to that later, we can talk about that later, but I just really want to loop back around to offering you offering you permission, not that you need my permission, but offering you that you may offer yourself permission to sit out some activities. And instead of racing around the world feeling like you need to adopt, rape, war, fight, flight, freeze, flock, fawn, fight the good fight, the emergency states, perhaps you don't want to do that anymore. And perhaps you can save the world by saving yourself instead of racing around from here to there, engaging in that racism, that racism. And I'm just saying it in those different ways to offer different perspectives of how the racism plays out. It's been so intellectualized that sort of how to see it in different perspectives that may allow us access to free our will from the loss that's got our amygdala cycling fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn emergency states as if it's for the best, correct? And we didn't mean to do it. We don't mean to do it. We don't want to do it. Maybe you're at different variations of that. Maybe we do want to do it. I don't know. So, but whichever, perhaps with everything happening in the world and in the stars, you just give yourself a little extra time and space and a little extra cushion. Like instead of, allowing five empty car lengths in front of you, between the car ahead of you, you allow 10. Maybe instead of allowing 5 extra minutes to get there, you allow 20 or 30. And instead of, oh my God, I got to do the Thanksgiving dinner. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't got to do the Thanksgiving dinner. Maybe you just got to danger steer clear and play your cards. And maybe playing some of those cards are your healing cards. Maybe some of those cards are learning more about the people that were here before you, or the people that were here that were excluded, from our school books as we were growing up. Whatever is calling to you this year, and knowing that if you are choosing to sit out different events now, like Independence Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, what are you doing instead? Well, perhaps you're just steering clear of danger, laying low, playing your healing cards, and maybe some of those other cards look like walking in nature, listening to music, Epsom salt baths, massages, tuning into the healers in your neck of the woods, the spiritualist churches in your neck of the woods who are on a mission so parallel to education. The spiritualists' medium's purpose is to prove continuity of life, personal survival, and unfoldment and growth, which sounds to me like education. And perhaps if you've had time in the education's field, which parents and teachers, right? I mean, everybody, right? Perhaps that resonates with you as well, and you can play with that. And that is the reason you come back to enjoy these circles or these offerings. And so we've gone half an hour, and I, of course, could talk more. So, we'll take a few minutes to wrap up. And other reasons you may choose to enjoy this space, or what you may want to know about me, I come to my work, my intuition, by I'm an intuitive, and I come by it intuitively. And what I mean to say by that is, well, there's some things that are passed down through families, right? And especially with fortune telling, and well, not especially with fortune telling, like this goes across fields, right? And so, but I came to my fortune telling intuitively as I was separated from my Romany before birth, and only when I was in my 30s and 40s was I able to reconnect, and so much is the risk and so slow is development that I'm still learning. So my intuition is helping lead the way, and that looked like when I was in high school, my intuition was so shut down because I was so, tuned into taking care of everybody else. Stop crying, or I'll give you a reason to cry. You only have to hear that once and you shut up, right? You stop crying and you learn how to take care of everyone else, and you learn how to stop feeling your feelings because you need to feel other people's feelings to be there for them. And so by the age of 17, what that looked like for me is I didn't even know how to cry at the proper occasion of a friend's funeral. She was a friend of mine as well. I don't mean to say that at all. And she's a beautiful friend who has visited me from beyond, and I feel so blessed and thankful. But at her funeral, I went with my friend to her funeral, honoring my friend and my friend. I know this is confusing. And I couldn't even cry. And so at that age, I decided I want to learn how to cry and learn how to grieve and mourn, and the emotions tying into the intuition, and emotions being like water, and going back to the water analogy, like, oh, it seems like we're in rough water and here and there, and some of us more rough water than others, and the rough water inside of us and how we can calm that. And so intuitively I've been drawn to pick up pieces along the way, and that was some of the start. And I didn't so those are senses, our five senses. There's clairs that match that. And so part of that was for me as an orphan adopted from Finland and then moved over to the US, my hearing, losing my mother tongue and not even knowing it, not even realizing it until I was in my 40s, like, oh, connecting the dots. Maybe it was in my 30s, but I think probably my 40s. And so my hearing, my listening, and then the clairaudient, what I'm hearing, other people that are, what I am hearing that other people aren't hearing. That clairaudience, like how dogs hear things that we don't hear. I was born in the year of the dog, so I love the dog analogies. And so learning how to listen to that and trust that over other people telling me, oh no, that's not what it is. This is the way it is, and go this way, not that way, because obviously, and wanting to fit in and belong and just loving everyone so much, and I wanted to do the right thing. And so learning how to shift and how to feel my own feelings and find my own sway and go from here to there. Intuitively, I was led along. And so perhaps you may appreciate that if you are an orphan or an adoptee and have found yourself in similar positions of like, wow, I don't even know what the fuck I'm feeling right now because I'm feeling everybody else's feelings. There for everybody else. I get it. My birth mom, my birth dad, I get it. My adopted mom, I get it. My adopted dad, I get it. I get it. Get it. I get it. Get it. Get it. Get it. Oh my God, what am I feeling? And also honoring, not to portray myself as this, oh, I was doing it all right and shining their shoes and all of that. No, I reacted violently, from trying to shine their shoes to reacting violently and emotionally, physically, verbally, and working through that and learning how to forgive myself and forgive others, from parents to professionals, who are there with a hearty intent and have been passed down this program about adoption and haven't been offered the data that is now available. It's more accessible, and Operation Foglift is in effect, and you may enjoy tuning in with Adoptees Connect if you are not feeling it here. Adoptees Connect is a beautiful, brilliant organization run by a brilliant, creative Pamela Caranova. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So you may find her on your own in Adoptees Connect all around. And they're just spreading. If you have a need in your community, you may enjoy, and you have an interest in having your own Adoptees Connect group, you may contact them, contact Pamela. And if you're looking for other options. And so intuitively I came to this arena, and through working with teens in the school systems and the private treatment centers, and the teachers and the therapists and the doctors and the lawyers and the community members involved, and just became really curious. Wow, if adoption's so wonderful, how come it hasn't solved the problem of leaving behind young through elder, shamed, blamed, scapegoated, and trashed? And so I began seeking and sharing solutions, and just picked up more clues along the way, from the treatment center for troubled youth and families to the public schools, and era of No Child Left Behind, morphing like a butterfly into Every Student Succeeds, and the parallel decades of Romany inclusion that began in 2005. I joined as a volunteer in 2009, and they've been extended twice. They're now going through 2030, and they're, I mean, it's like you don't have to, if you know about No Child Left Behind and Every Student Succeeds, then you have the gist of the Romany inclusion, but it's youth through elder. And something that's beautiful about the word Romany, it's a Sanskrit-based word, and the first part of it, Ram, one of the definitions of it is human. And so we've been trying to help all these students get ahead, and in this No Child Left Behind, Every Student Succeeds, and now this Decades of Romany Inclusion, it's parallel to that, helping these gypsies, these Romani, they prefer to be called, they have different compagnia, mine's Kale, black, that translates as. There's parallel paths working for very similar things, that equity, that dignity, that justice for human beings, and so beautiful. And so you may appreciate other resources on our About page if you're looking for others to tune into. And oh my God, we didn't dive into the cards. Let's do it. I have different cards. Let's start with these are mostly from Louise Hay, her Subtle Energy Healing books that you may find online. She's on Instagram, YouTube. Her books are amazing. Subtle Body Practice Manual. We came up with the number 6, but I wanted to also bring up the light, because, okay, so 6. I rolled the 6 to get the cards. So as we wrap up, we're gonna do this numerology. One of the things we do to play through our loss, it's so devastating that it makes us want to hurt ourselves or others sometimes, but we don't really want to do that. So numerology is one of the things we do to play through. And so this is one version of what the number 6 may mean. Number of service indicates the presence of light and dark, good and evil. We already talked about that. We see it as scapegoated loss. If we see evil the way that it's being portrayed, perhaps you've seen and heard, that allows us to cut one person, one lame dog after one perceived evil, bad, lame dog after another off, which is totally contrary to what we were just talking about, No Child Left Behind, Every Student Succeeds, Decade of Romany Inclusion. So the number 6 helps us differentiate between the presence of light and dark and the choices we make between those two. But what I found really interesting that I wanted to share that you may appreciate is about light. And I am flipping through these cards quick. You may enjoy checking out Chacho Busin, the last couple sessions. We've gone over these cards a little, taken a little more time, so you may enjoy checking that out. So here we go. So when we're talking about the number 6 and differentiating between light and dark and the choices we make between these two, the choices we make between light and dark, this fascinated me, and maybe it fascinates you as well. And this again is from Cindy Dale's Subtle Body work she's done. I'm looking at 4 books right now that she's written about this, and she's gathered her data from healers from around the world. So it's a beautiful resource to have, to be able to figure out what resonates with you, especially if you're an orphan and adoptee and don't know much about where you come from, and you are trying to tap into your intuition and different healing modalities that work for you. And so, yeah, the difference between the dark and the light. Light is electromagnetic radiation of various wavelengths. Dark light is composed mainly of electrons that carry intelligence about power. Light is fashioned chiefly from protons that hold intelligence about love. How beautiful is that? Isn't that so beautiful? And so we can play with that and visualize that, and the white light that's in every single cell of our body, the white light that is out there in the universe that we may see. And if we aren't able to see perhaps the different ways we have that we do see, right? Because different people, everyone's a different psychosocial science experiment. And so some of us may have certain senses that others don't, and vice versa. And so to honor how we may play with this notion of light, and to really just be loose about that and how that may work for you. And so many beautiful meditations with light, or perhaps you have an appreciation for the sparkly lights, or the candles, or the mood lights, or the strobe lights. And that number 6 that was talking about light that got us over here. And light can be fashioned, directed, spun, summoned, eliminated to produce desired effects. So I found that fascinating about the light. And I'm looking for the other number 6 card. This is another number 6 card, but not the one I wanted. This is the one I wanted. So we talked about those evil forces. It's really, now that we're immersed in adoption spirit magic, now that we are out of the fog of quote-unquote evil, of the adoption fairy tales, of the gypsy myths, of the parenthood, of the amygdala cycling, fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn, we see that evil is really that fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn. And we've seen, we've seen data pile up over millennia, all the different ways that plays out, right? So, no surprise, like all the horrible things that had happened. Well, yeah, we've seen it play out. Loss really hurts, and we get grief-struck by loss and possessed. But the 6 helps us defend against those times where we are so grief-struck by loss that we want to hurt ourselves or others. Some, we used to call it evil. Some of us may still be calling it evil if you're thinking about switching from here to there. And so it defends against these times people are so grief-struck by loss, they're lashing out psychically. Maybe they're talking crap about you over food and drinks. Maybe they are, all the different ways that plays out. And enables us to maintain integrity by maintaining our healthy boundaries, which is what I was speaking to earlier. Like if you've been around enough and you've had enough experiences, and you go to these places where people are giving you, they're calling you gypsy, or they're giving you the, "Oh, poor adoptee, can't you see? This is just a necessary evil. This is just how we do it." You're getting that. And you decide, well, I'm going to maintain my integrity by not going there and like popping off because it pisses me off so much. I'm just going to maintain my integrity by staying over here now and honoring them. I'm not going to try to change their ways. I'm just going to steer clear. Like I've tried to, those of you who know, like you tried, like, God, you love them so much. You just want everybody to get along and like, could we all just like stop the fight? But you see, like, nobody wants to be schooled. Nobody wants to be told what to do. And you've tried, and now you've gotten to the place where you're like, six it, I'm out of here. I'm just going to maintain my integrity. I'm going to skip the Veterans Day parade because I've gone enough times and I just get fucking wasted and end up hurting somebody or myself. Or Thanksgiving, I eat too much and then I go vomit in the toilet and I've just played it out enough, all the family dynamics I can't deal, or the reunion, whatever it is. You maintain your integrity by steering clear. And perhaps the six helps with that. Like, you got your own six, right? Isn't there some sort of expression that we can, have our own back now? And so the six also helps us release the unconscious benefits of repetitive pattern and embrace more joyful ways of responding to life. And so especially with everything going through, we're like, oh my God, really? After everything since 2020? Oh my God, really? More? Well, no, maybe it's just perfectly timed. It's like, oh my God, we've gone through everything and we thought we wanted to get back to normal and we realized, no, well, maybe we don't. And now we really have an opportunity to make that choice definitively. And perhaps we even start over this Thanksgiving and we sit it out and we steer clear of danger and we play our cards. And if this is resonating with you, perhaps this is reasons you return or check out more of the resources on the About page. Since we talked about fear, let's talk about the other emotion cards quick to honor that. And we talked about this, setting the boundary. All those times we've realized, we're like, oh my God, I've seen myself pop off enough, and I know, and I've seen them pop off enough when I'm popping off or popping off back and forth, and I know I'm just going to steer clear now. So anger helps us set our boundaries. We're steering clear instead of force marching, and we're doing things like this to help protect ourselves and defend ourselves without harming a soul. And why do we care about our thoughts and feelings? Because intuitively we know, or we have learned that thoughts steer our feelings, and the feelings themselves create chemical, attitudinal, and even electrical environment that impacts certain organs and meridians. And so steering clear of danger, keeping ourselves healthy. And I sense there was one more feelings card. Let's see if I can pick it out and entertain you with going through these cards at the same time. I mean, who doesn't love a 52 pickup, right? As long as it's not an aggressive 52 pickup. Sometimes you just need to sort through things like beads or cards or yarn or fabric. So the emotions. So for me, as I was explaining my emotional growth, I was a little delayed. I was more like a 17-year-old at 27, and my reactions were, I just didn't understand my emotions and feelings. So these assisted me in learning more about that, and maybe they assist you as well. Cindy Dale, you can check her out. A National Spiritualist Association of Churches you may enjoy too, as well. If you are interested in exploring more your psychic mediumship. And that number 6 rolled this, which is the living altar, but I'm not quite there yet. Another reason you may enjoy coming to our circles, our offerings, just sharing things like doing a walkthrough of the town, like what we may see that we want to turn our faces away from now, just to keep ourselves balanced, safe and sound, maintaining our integrity by maintaining our boundaries. Like today, just for example, going about and seeing a sign that says, protect those who protect you. And it was a billboard on off the freeway, and glow in the dark, I think. And I see in the here, immersed in adoption spirit magic, we see so many of those in the military as the left behind youth from the orphans and the adoptees. And perhaps you're seeing it more play out too from people being adopted into the nation in exchange for military service, and putting, imagining, oh, well, what if that was a baby being adopted in exchange for, what if that was on the adoption contract of a baby? Would we feel the same way? And also the data of my family's military men in my families who participated in my birth family, my maternal birth family, my Finnish maternal birth family, my adoptive families, both sides, and how that played out, leaving children behind to go, leave more children behind to, and it, their youth was, it all affected them differently, and to students I worked with. So I really cherish adolescents. I want to offer them another path than to pay their way through school and travel the world by enrolling in the military, to fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn, to continue what cast them off in the first place by the adults in the room. And so I feel they're very precious. So anyways, back to that. I'm on the road. I see that sign. I'm like, oh, that's a trigger, for me now that I'm at this point. And the next sign was, Homeland Security, protect those who protect you. And just the irony of that, like you're adopting these orphans to come protect you, and then you're asking everybody to honor them. And is that an exchange we want to make anymore? We're pointing our fingers all around the world, but let's look at the three pointing back at that, at us. Is that an exchange we want to make anymore? And so just to be upfront, right? I don't want to step on your toes. I want you to know what you're getting into if you're coming into these circles. And thank you. Our ancestors are here. I feel like the maternal, thank you, maternal. If that's resonating with you, if that's what's speaking up to you, I feel like it's maternal grandfather. So if that's resonating with you, who have had some maternal grandfathers in the military and they're stepping in right now, and tall, hair sort of around the skull, but not so much on the top, and quiet, maybe proper, dressed in dress slacks, belt, dress shirt, but casual dress, and just quiet, gentle. And so I'm thankful for this ancestor tapping in just to honor what is, and sending love, that's what I'm feeling. And maybe the name Bill or William resonates with you, and so let me know in the comments. And it was like a hug. It was coming in like a hug. So the next, okay, so I see that billboard, all that to say, back to the billboard on the freeway, driving on the freeway, trying to get home from here to there, and go slow, give myself extra space. See that billboard, like, okay. the next billboard was something about secure your insulin. So we're going from Homeland Security from one billboard to Homeland Security on the next billboard about your insulin. And Louise Hay came to my mind, and I'm going to loop this together and perhaps you'll appreciate it. So we're talking about the left behind children of the world from, you know, going into the military. Let's protect them. And then the insulin. Okay, so let's look at diabetes. Oh my God, where am I? There I am. So, okay, pardon me. I apologize. Louise Hay has left a living legacy at the Hay House, so you may find her. So what we're looking at is a book that is full from A to Z. Problem, probable cause, new thought pattern. So if you're unable to get to the doctor immediately and you need something to, you know, to put on the flip side of the card, like that worry card that comes up, oh, you know, like you're, oh, fuck the diabetes. Instead of saying that, what do you want to say instead? So this is a book you come to, and then, you know, maybe by the time you get to your doctor, there's alleviation, GloryB. You let me know how this works. So what was it? Just to let you see again. Probable cause and the new thought pattern. Diabetes was the next billboard I saw. Longing for what might have been. A great need to control. Deep sorrow. No sweetness left. And to me, I'm just looking at that, and it's just reminding me of all of us who have been through slavery from our ancestors up through modern day. And our, like I was mentioning, our ancestors have fought wars for this, but still this is playing out, this modern day slavery, where we're still going around thinking there's evil to fight, and people are ensnared in the slavery, adolescents or orphans, adopted, and there's this cycle of just devastation that leaves us longing for what might have been. A great need to control. Like, our control was taken away. We were in these inequitable relationships that we're seeing play out right now in so many different ways. It's not just the individual orphan that's adopted, right? In different ways we've seen that play out, and people want, desire to have more equitable relationships. Perhaps maybe that's what we're being invited to assess. Yes or no? Is that, are we feeling like we still want to, but this diabetes, back to that, this, you know, when you've tried, like adoptees who have gotten to a certain point and they've tried and they tried and they tried and they can't try anymore, or Gypsy, Romany, or parents, or those who have been so grief-struck by loss, all the different ways that plays out, and perhaps some of that comes out with diabetes and as diabetes. And, well, what could you say instead? This moment is filled with joy. I now choose to experience the sweetness of today. And so what that means is every time you have a worry about this issue that's going on, whether it's from the what might have been or the diabetes, you can replace it with, boom, you can be like, oh, thank you, worry, for coming up again. Now I know to flip you, and this is what I'm going to say instead. So just that notion, that simple example, that was one example. We're an hour, we've gone over an hour. Thank you for staying so late with us. Whenever you are seeing this, this is a long session. This is very exciting open house. Let's pull a card. And send you off with the living altar. And this is one of the Romany decks. that I feel so blessed to play with by Kiki Robinson and Ilvadrama Marzana Radziasuski. You may find them on Instagram. And they also have a Altars Up Witches podcast. They also have been guests on the Romanistan podcast, the Halloween episodes, and they shared how they put these cards together. But for fun to play through again with everything we're talking about to sort of lift our spirits, because we really went deep. And to, wow, okay. That's a bottom, a spell card on the bottom that you're just meant to vibe with. But let's see what else popped out. And you got this. You're playing your cards. You've been playing your cards before you came. You'll keep playing your cards after you go. Oh, balsamic moon, so beautiful. Oh my, wow. You may enjoy looking up metaphysical symbology of the star, the starfish, the moon, the shells. I'm reminded of Venus. You may check out your Venus sign or the Venus energy right now playing out, or the moon coming up, this balsamic moon coming up. This is super special, so quadruple check. It's been coming up a couple times, so see what comes up for you perhaps. And then expression was the other. Oh, these cards are so beautiful. So expression, balsamic moon, and these cards have 3 parts. There is a witch's wheel correspondence, and then there's a spell, and then there's a guiding meditation. So let us wrap up with that. I want to put the cards on a deck so you may see. All right. And that card. So the spell card that I showed at the beginning is, I thought it was Earth, but it's not Earth. Let's see. Elderhood. Oh my. Oh my, I love this card. Elderhood. Elderhood. Let you vibe with that. So I mentioned the spans of life earlier, and elderhood, adolescence. Here immersed in adoption spirit magic with our personal professional experience, I would say it's fair spell for adolescents 14 to 35. Give them extra years to recover from all the loss they experienced before the age of 14. So elderhood, just, just to place elderhood. And because I hear people at 35 saying, I'm so old. And but I don't want to diminish. Like, everybody's a different psychosocial science experiment, and everybody feels different. So it's quite possible that people absolutely are at different places. But elderhood. And so balsamic and expression, balsamic moon and expression. Let's see what comes up here. The wind is blowing. You may enjoy looking into resources about the wind, different ways you can play with that, the breeze. Perhaps it's reminding you of the universe's love for you, or perhaps you all of a sudden are like, wow, which direction is that coming from? What does that mean? If it's coming from this direction, what does that mean if the wind's coming from that direction? Perhaps you help, ask the wind to assist you to release the fight, flight, freeze, fuck, fawn, and stream and grace to replace, or something like that. Different ways we can play with it. Okay, so the balsamic moon, witch's wheel correspondence. Earth, winter, north, elderhood, soul, harvest, midnight, boundaries, identity, relationship, and resource. And here's the spell, which you may come back to as you wish to help you activate, embody, You fill in the blank in the highest love and light. And here is the spell. I rejoice in the heartbreaks of moments past and embrace their release, emboldened by the ecstatic gift of sacrifice. I expand into new depths of my capacity to build, to destroy, to be broken, to rise, and to build again. I surrender to the space between what was and what is becoming. I allow this space to neutralize my regrets and normalize nostalgia. Sorry, I was having some more information coming in, so I was trying to read and hear at the same time, and it's not as easy as it appears sometimes. I allow the space to neutralize my regrets and normalize nostalgia. I allow the space to neutralize my regrets and normalize my nostalgia. I affirm that I am free from the pain of past heartbreak and the obligation to past success. As what I have co-created is devoured by the hunger of the world, I now realize what it is to sacrifice, to continue forward with hope. I must release the names I have answered to in the past. Sorry, let me read that again. To continue forward with hope, I must release the names I have answered to in the past. My sacrifice is the foolish surrender of moving on. Soul tired and sacred, I am showered in the blessings of wisdom. Raw and formless, I am cloistered by the beauty of death. I find sanctuary in completion. I rest in the graveyard of my memories. I am comforted by the glimmering possibilities whispering through my dreaming. So beautiful. And I apologize for not reading that fluently through from start to end. God bless it. God bless us all. And you are more than welcome to tap into your own oracle and spell deck for The Radical Witch by Kiki Robinson and Ilvedroma Marzana Radziszewski, so you may read the spell fluently for yourself. And I am being guided to read another line within that spell again, and it is, to continue forward with hope, I must release the names I have answered to in the past. And there's a couple different ways that could be read, and perhaps you have fun playing with that. I think that was what I was meant to share. So the guiding messages, wrapping up this card of the Balsamic Moon, this one we're speaking to, and rest while the void emerges. There are winds of change stirring. Where will they take you? Turn from what was, move towards potential. Wow. Wow. That is so beautiful. I love the synchronicity of that. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Sacred Altar, Kiki, Ilva, Source, Balsamic Moon, Universes. All right, let's see expression. Oh, wow, that was just so powerful, very powerful, empowering. Thank you, empowering. So helpful, so beautifully timed. So expression, the Witch's Wheel correspondence, autumn, west, water, adult, midlife, abundance, generosity, sunset, disseminating moon, third quarter moon. So many thoughts, right? I mean, you could do art with all of those pieces to help bring them to life. Create your own Witch's Wheel correspondence. So much. So here's the spell. I am the current, the waves, the vast expanse of ocean. I am the limitless void, and yet I am pulled by the tides of truth, seething with voice. I sing songs of power, somber in the courage of my heart. I unmask my witness Embracing vulnerability, the depth of my expression rises to the surface. What am I choking back? I will not risk further injury of soul or stagnation of purpose, holding back the dams. Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God, blessed GloryB. I am feeling so blessed by that and called to share my own experience of what I was mentioning earlier in being discouraged from speaking adoption truths, gypsy truths. I choked back a lot. It came out in my throat chakra. It actually ended up an infection in my head, choking it back and trying to figure out what to do with it and how to process it and how to move it through. And perhaps we can help you avoid that by sharing information on like what happens when we keep choking things back, and perhaps we don't want our head to pop off with an abscess because we've been choking back things for so long, because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, because we've been told it's for the best, whatever the reason is. And perhaps there's these healthy ways that you can express what you need to without developing that infection in your body or in your heart or in your soul or in your spirit. And thank God that abscess was drained. I can share it with you now. I'm not sharing to make you feel as if you need to take care of me. Just it's healing. We're healing. You may hear it in my throat every now and then. You may see it the different places where they worked on me. GloryB, March 2020. It was March 2022. And then a little bit more, that was an emergency surgery, and then a little bit more a few more months later to working on clearing the abscess, working on taking responsibility for the eracism that I was describing. The abscess came up again, and so there's a little more in May, but it's cleared, GloryB, and we're working on keeping the balance, but you may still notice that. And so this spell is offering what are we choking back, and how I will not risk further injury of soul or stagnation of purpose, holding back the dams. And how can we healthily move through these and play our cards, and looping back around to the beginning of our walk through and mentioning giving ourselves extra space, perhaps sitting out Thanksgiving Day, and maybe just saying, I don't know, I can't explain it right now, but I'll let you know. I love you so much. I'll let you know when I know, and or you'll call me first, and whatever you got to do to figure out how to express what you want to express in a way that you're not hurting yourself or others. Like perhaps I've seen play out in my life. I kept hurting myself and others trying to express it in these different instances that I shared. And so perhaps this is the perfect, let's figure out another word, perfect. Perhaps this is the time. If you're looking at the stars, you're looking at the world, you're looking inside yourself, and perhaps this is the time to like take a pause. All the systems are in place to take a pause, right? The pandemic assisted us with that for sure, and so many other brilliant creative people around the world helped us be able to take a safe pause during those times. And so perhaps we lean into that during Thanksgiving, and we take a safe pause and figure out what's choking, what are we choking back? Maybe we didn't want to get back to normal as much as we thought we did, and that's okay. And everything in the world that we're seeing today, that we think we got to force march and go race here or there, maybe no, it's just asking us, hey, do we really want to do that anymore? Because we're kind of doing that too, right? You're pointing the finger at them, and there's three back at you, and maybe we can just danger steer clear, play our healing cards, learn more about the people who are here before us and those that were excluded from our books, but starting with ourselves. What are you choking back? What am I choking back? And how can we figure out different ways to express it. And maybe you find that space here. Maybe this assists you, and perhaps the way that I've done it imperfectly assists you, and figuring out how to unfold in a way that feels comfortable and dignified and equitable for you. And so the guiding message is, what does the water of water hold for you at this time? Bring the situation to the altar of expression. What wisdom is alchemizing within you? Oh, so beautiful. The water, the water. We've been speaking about the water and bringing it back to life, the lifeguard, and emotions are like water, and the water within us and the water outside of us. And maybe you find some new tools to help you bless the water if you haven't already been blessing the water inside of you or others. Or maybe you check out that science experiment that shows what happens when you scream around water. And perhaps you just decide you want to drink more water. Maybe you decide over Thanksgiving you set up yourself to have a fast that leans into the water, and maybe you fill in the blank what's correct for your water. Your water, like you're a big glass, you're a tall glass of water. Yes, you are. Oh my. So we have gone all around the world, and this session, thank you so much for joining us in this walkthrough. And I'm not sure when the next one will pop up, but we try on Wednesdays every now and again. And to end, let's throw one last card on the table, and that is this card that says on one side, nobody's perfect. Life's for learning to tolerate, starting with self. And the flip side of that is, she'll never learn, off with the head. And I enjoy when I write the word she, I put a dash through between the S and the H, so it's she and the he. So yeah, maybe that assists you as you move forward this next week, this next month, whenever we see you again. Nobody's perfect. Life's for learning to tolerate, starting with self, and careful of the tricky flip side. She'll never learn, off with the head. We don't have to play that way anymore, right? We don't have to adopt war anymore, right? We can sit it out and walk a different path. And not that you need permission, but maybe it's just helpful to hear someone else doing it, and perhaps we assist you coming out of the fog quicker with less collateral damage. And if it seems like we're telling you what to do, God bless it. That's our amygdala, grief struck by loss. Let us know, even if that means you just got to walk away without saying anything, and we can make amends. We can try to make amends, and maybe you help us with that and letting us know in different ways. Or not, because, like, you know, you got to keep it real. Sometimes you just, everybody's a different psychosocial science experiment. Perhaps you would appreciate a different trail guide. And so, all that being said, thank you so much for steering clear of danger, even when that's me. Thank you for helping shuffle states of emergency into adoption spirit magic. And thank you for playing your cards for life worth living as you, your needs, your wants, your desires, and life keep shifting here, there, and beyond. Heartily, we are grateful. And until next time, ciao for now. We love you all.